it was good while it lasted, but Vikings Camp 2021 is officially in the books. Welcome back inside the TCO studios. My name is Gabe Henderson, and welcome to the final edition of U.S. Bank Vikings Training Camp Live. Coming up on the show today, we hear from the big fella. I'm talking about Vikings defensive tackle Dalvin Tomlinson. Also, Vikings team reporter Eric Smith will join the show, as well as Broncos lead writer Eric Delala. And we'll wrap today's show up talking about the special teams unit. I'm talking about the position battles brewing right there. But before we start today's show off with some highlights. So let's roll the tape, starting with a nice scene setting from Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center. Beautiful day outside. Beautiful watching this guy, Irv Smith Jr., catch some footballs from his quarterback. But more importantly, my guy Eric Kendricks with the nice PBU in the red zone. Great play from him today. But nice Kirk Cousins right here. KJ Osborne's been making catches like this all camp. He finished strong today. So has Kene Wangu. Everyone has been high on him receiving a kick return. I think he's a one-cut guy. If he puts his foot into the ground, he's going to score. And you got Jake Browning going up top to Chad Beebe. Yes, his butt hit the ground, so yes, that's the touchdown. I know you're going to debate it, but no debating this. Josh Metellus made that guy fly today. Oh, my gosh. Touchdown to Mir Smith-Marset. Let's watch the celebration dance, though. Love it. Love it. Well, a lot of people say the Vikings backed up the Brinks truck when it came to filling some obvious holes on defense this offseason. I like to say they backed up the freight truck when addressing the defensive line. When adding a guy like Dalvin Tomlinson, it's going to be hard for opposing offensive coordinators to dial anything up against him. Vikings.com's Tatum Everett caught up with the big fella to get his thoughts heading into this season.
Hey, Gabe, thanks so much. We're now joined by Vikings defensive tackle Dalvin Tomlinson. You're a little new to the Minnesota area. What about Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center have you loved the most? Because this facility is second to none.
I would have to say the cryo chamber. Just jumping in the cryo chamber after practice is always a bonus. So,
I mean, my vote's the cafeteria, but that's just personal preferences here. But let's get back to the on-the-field things. You know, this defensive line is very versatile, very special. You have a lot of guys that can do a lot of things when the offensive looks change up. How do you tap into that potential this season?
You know, just like all of us coming in, just the more reps we get, the more chemistry we build, and just knowing how each other play, but every player besides you play, like Mike and Daniil and all those guys, is just going to make us more versatile on the field when the season gets here.
Yeah, all those guys you mentioned bring something new to the table, but you're a three-time state champion wrestler. And Andre Patterson spoke today at the podium about tapping into that mindset that you have. So how has that helped your game so far?
It helps out a lot because we've been talking about the pass rush and things like that. And a lot of it actually is super similar to wrestling. Just like the hand part of it is like you always use your hands in wrestling and things like that, and the leverage. It helps in the run game also is a big part of wrestling. So it's just like it all comes together and makes a lot of more sense.
Daniil Hunter also spoke today. He talked about you and Michael Pierce. A couple of words he used. Berserk, brute, destroying everything, and just surprising to see and watch you guys in the middle. When you hear someone of his caliber say those things, what goes through your mind?
Yeah, it makes me excited. But it's just to having a guy like Daniil say stuff like that about me and Mike is pretty good. And just the chemistry we continue to build out here, like we just getting started.
The Vikings defense last year ranked 27th in rushing yards allowed for the season. How much of that responsibility do you share now trying to shore up that issue this season? I
say a lot because you have to stop the run to get to the pass game to get to the quarterback, and everybody wants to get to the quarterback, and I pride myself in the run game, so I'm pretty sure Mike thinks the same way.
And finally, you know, you got a little taste of what U.S. Bank Stadium will be like this season a week ago on Saturday. Now you get a first preseason game, so what are you most looking forward to that contest?
I'm looking forward to the Skol chant at the beginning of the game. We saw a little glimpse of it, but I just want to see the stadium full with the whole Skol chant.
All right, we now welcome Vikings team reporter Eric Smith and Broncos lead writer Eric Delala. Guys, both of you guys look pretty hot out there, so I won't keep you guys too long. But how are you feeling now that training camp is over?
I feel good, Gabe. I can't speak for Eric with an A here, but I think we're feeling good. I think it's been a grind for both of us, especially you having to travel all this way, but we're happy to have you here.
Yeah, loved it. Good work for both teams. I know Vic Fangio's happy. Your old friend George Payton's happy, so I'm happy.
We're all happy here now that training camp's over. We can now get to some tackle football. But the chippiness was there today, Eric Smith, with the Vikings. I'm going to have to do that all day today so you guys won't jump over each other. But Eric Kendrick started practice off killing it today. We know yesterday the defense got off to a slow start, but what did you see from Eric Kendrick today that stood out to you?
Yeah, to me, it looked like he was in midseason form, and that means an all-pro for him. We saw that Kendricks was an all-pro in 2019, and he was probably on that same path in 2020 before he got hurt and missed the final 5 games of the season. But today he looked phenomenal. The Vikings and Broncos spent the early portion of practice in a red zone 7-on-7 drill, and Kendricks had an interception in that drill, and the next play came back with a PBU. So that's what we've come to see from Kendricks over the years. Definitely one of the best linebackers in the league in coverage, and he flashed that again today. And it seems like he'll be ready for the preseason and certainly Week 1 against Cincinnati.
Yeah, anytime you can get 2 interceptions in practice, you can't ask for anything better than that. But the Broncos, Eric, we talk about Jerry Jeudy being the best player on the field, I guess, both of these last 2 days. But KJ Hamler's a guy that stood out to you, no?
Yeah, he's kind of the surprise guy, maybe the X factor for this season. He hasn't been healthy for most of his early career. Was second-round pick last year. If he can be healthy and stretch the field, he could really change things for this Broncos offense. Had a 45-yard touchdown from Teddy Bridgewater today. Yesterday made a diving catch. And we've seen last year a couple touchdowns against the Panthers, game-winning catch against the Chargers. So he's kind of a guy to watch this year. I'll be interested to see how much he plays Saturday. They've been really big on keeping him healthy, keeping him out there. But if he does play, certainly got to make a chance to make an impact.
For sure. Hey, Eric, we talk about this all the time. It's so hard to gauge the run game. It's so hard to gauge how we're blocking, how our fits are without an opposing team's look. So now that the Denver Broncos are here, we finally got to see what our run game can do and how special it can be. And today, it was special.
It was special, and you're right in that, it's tough to gauge training camp practices just because there's no live tackling. We don't know if it's a 3-yard run or a 30-yard run. But something you mentioned off the top of the show, it was very chippy out there today, especially on the field where the Vikings offense was going against the Broncos defense. A couple of linemen got into some pleasant exchanges. But the thing that stood out was that the Vikings run game also kind of showed their muscle too. Dalvin Cook, who is obviously the leader of this offense, especially the run game, had a pair of long runs that probably would have gone for 15 plus, maybe 20 yards. Alexander Madison and Kene Wangu also had long runs. So it's good to see on the final day of camp, as the preseason looms. We know the Vikings want to run the ball. That's no secret around here, and they did so today. It's a good sign going forward.
Lastly, Eric, the Broncos got a quarterback battle right now. You got Drew Lock and then our guy Teddy Bridgewater. How are things going? How do you see things shaking up there?
Yeah, Vic Fangio's been pretty consistent saying there's not been a lot of separation. I think over the last 2 days, Teddy might have a slight edge, more accurate. Did have a couple of interceptions today that he's got to clean up, but he's just kind of that steady guy that we know, and he has pushed the ball down the field a little bit more than we're used to, so that's been good to see. And Drew Lock is just kind of the guy, he can make that big play, but also prone to some mistakes at times, so he's got to be consistent. He's going to start on Saturday, and he said that the main goal for him is not turning the ball over. Everything else is kind of secondary, so we'll have to see how many plays he gets. Would imagine it'd be maybe a few series, but both guys will get their shot.
Yeah, hopefully we get some interceptions on Teddy Bridgewater this weekend. I know you don't want to hear that, but Eric Smith, moving on to the special teams position breakdown. We know Greg Joseph, we signed him this offseason to, I guess, get over some of those kicking woes that we had last year with Dan Bailey. But him, you got Britton Colquitt, and everybody else, we don't know what to expect. How do you see things shaking up, kick return, punt return, all of that we don't know about right now?
Yeah, as usual, there's a lot to figure out on special teams. I feel like that's always the case with us up here in Minnesota. Greg Joseph will kick tomorrow, that we know. Colquitt's the only punter on the roster, so those two positions seem fairly set. There's also a long snapper battle that'll continue on as well. But as far as the return game, that's, I think, where we all want to watch, especially starting Saturday in the preseason. And both the Vikings and Broncos worked on kickoff returns today. And to me, it was Amir Abdullah, Kene Wangu, and KJ Osborne, all who stood out. I think that they had 7 total returns from the Vikings, and 4 of them were what I classify as explosive returns, probably like 25, 30-yard returns. Abdullah had one, Wangu had one, and Osborne had the other. So a good day for that special teams unit. We didn't see a lot of live punt returns these past 2 days. They probably want to keep guys a little safe and kind of get them ready for Saturday. But it was a good day for the Vikings return game, and hopefully that continues in the preseason because someone's got to win that job. It's pretty wide open.
Yeah, it is pretty wide open, and somebody's going to win it eventually, right? And you looked at these 3 preseason games for somebody to emerge as a starter. But both Erics, I appreciate both you guys joining us today. Stay safe, stay warm, get inside whenever you can. But thank you again for joining.
No problem, Gabe. Thank you.
Well, we want to thank all of you at home that tuned in every single day to watch U.S. Bank Vikings Training Camp live. It is sad to say this is our last show, but there will be more coverage of the Minnesota Vikings all throughout the preseason and the regular season. So make sure you stay tuned to Vikings.com for the most up-to-date coverage of the team. We got so much content coming your way, but before then, I will see you at 3 p.m. on Saturday at U.S. Bank Stadium when the Broncos take on your Minnesota Vikings. Guys, stay safe, stay healthy, and most importantly, Skol.